Good day, dear brothers and sisters. It's such a privilege for me to share the word of the Lord with you, and I'm really looking forward in this area that we're busy with on experiencing God's power, and specifically also that our tongues might need healing. We're going to look today at a very important principle, that our words determine our destiny. You see, in the Bible, James uses various pictures to explain the importance of the tongue in our lives. And the most important one of the most important ones to look at, and especially what we'll be looking at today, is that of a rudder of a ship. You see, a rudder of a ship is that small device which determines the area and the direction in which the ship will be traveling. So if our tongue is like a rudder of a ship, it may be used to determine the course of our lives. It may be used to determine our destiny. You see, we can look at an example of the history of Israel, where it's quite clear where this principle applied. You see, the Israelites had come out of Egypt, were on their way to the promised land, and God arranged with Moses to send 12 men ahead of them to spy out the land, to find out what's going on in the land, who the people in the land are like, the kind of cities, kind of fruit, and to bring back a report. And one leader was chosen from each of the 12 tribes of Israel to go into the land. And the report they brought back, we can read in Numbers 13, verse 26 to 28. And they went and came to Moses and to Aaron and to all the congregation of the children of Israel unto the wilderness of Paran, to Kadesh, and brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him and said, We came unto the land whither thou sentest us, and surely it flowed with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Nevertheless, the people are strong that dwell in that land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw that the children of Anak, the giants, were there. You see, when God gives us a promise, are we just going to accept the promise at its face value, or going to say, we accept it, but... You know, that word but is a fatal flaw, and that word is one of the words that can determine our destiny. But when we look at this example, you see Caleb and Joshua, they refused to go along with that negative attitude. They kept on saying, well, we will overcome. This is the land that the Lord has given into our hands, and we will overcome. Take notice of the words. We are well able to overcome it. The other spies said, we are not able. But Caleb and Joshua said, we are able. You see, by that positive confession, Caleb settled his destiny for the positive. And if we read further in Numbers 14, we can see that the Lord spoke unto Moses and Aaron, saying, How long shall I bear with this evil congregation, which murmur against me? You see, these murmurings were negative, which were just drawing these Israelites into a different destiny that God had predestined for them. Notice the words, if you look at that, as you have spoken in mine ears, so will I do to you. God is saying, what you have settled, what I will do to you by the words that you have spoken. You see, death and life are in the power of the tongue. How much more clearly can this be illustrated than this example? The men who spoke negatively, they settled for death. They settled for their destiny to end in disaster. We are not able. We are not able. You see, those that said we are able, they were able. In the New Testament, our experience as Christians is directly compared to that of Israel in the Old Testament. The same promise that God gave to Israel, therefore, stands for us. And we need to say in this day and age, we are well able. Doesn't matter what the situation is in the world. Doesn't matter what the situation is for your personal circumstances, what's going around you. If you look at those things and you see only giants and you see only strong men and walled cities that you can't overcome, you will be saying, I'm not able. But you should be saying, by the power of God, I am able. When you face God's promise concerning a certain situation, what are you going to do with your tongue? Are you going to assent to the promises of God? Are you going to identify yourself with the promise of God and say, I am able? Or are you going to be one of those that say, nevertheless, but... look at all these problems. I don't feel able. We need to settle our destinies by the words that we speak. 2 of the 12 spies, they focused on the promises, not on the problems. Each one got exactly what they said. These spies settled their own destinies by the way that they used their tongues.